Tomorrow evening at 6:10, Pop Idol continues. But now on LWT, Des O'Connor with a question.
You're probably wondering what it is that I do.
Yes, that's exactly what we were wondering. Yes.
Well, I've done many kinds of television shows, some all singing.
He's a singer.
And then I've done some television shows all comedy.
Oh, he's a comedian.
Then I've done some TV shows singing and comedy.
Maybe he sings funny.
Tonight, I'm having a little celebration at the Ivy. The party is to launch my autobiography. I seem to have spent most of my life in the public eye, but this is the first time I've chosen to tell my life story.
I'm trying to find this, well, you'll have a look at it later on.
Oh, there's Grandma and Grandpa.
Yeah.
Really, I adore you, little Desmond. And I've followed your career for years and years. Uphill and downhill. It's been a bit of a roller coaster.
And celebrating with me are three of my four daughters, Karen, Sam and TJ.
How lovely this is. You know this young comic, do you?
Sweetheart, we're going to meet very soon.
During my career, I've been privileged to work with and interview some of the biggest stars both in Britain and the USA.
Do you know Mrs. Morecambe and Mrs. Wise, Eric Sykes?
Eric and Ernie were great friends of mine, even though they made a lot of fun about my singing over the years.
It makes me laugh anymore.
Away from the glamour and some of the madness of the celebrity world, I try to maintain my privacy, and this is the first time I've ever allowed TV cameras into my home. I'm private in as much as... It's a bit strange, really, because I wanted to come into show business, but I do not treasure, but I do value my privacy. I have been married 3 times. There was never a third party involved in any of those breakups. The third party was my career. I have to be honest and say that. It's all daughters and Jodie and I in LA, Jodie and I in Los Angeles, Jodie with George Michael and Elton John. That was fun. There I am. Look at that. Can you see that? Tip it up or you're on. Yeah.
Just wanted to ask you this, who knows you best?
Who knows me best? My partner Jodie obviously knows me. We've been together a long time now.
Let me help.
No, not that. Good Lord, go back to Australia. Just gonna go.
He probably is Jodie, because when you spend a long time with someone as close as this, you know, morning, noon and night parties, holidays, birthdays, occasions, sharing families, then obviously you get to know each other. So probably Jodie.
We give each other advice, and it's great because we work together quite a lot. I come home from working during the day. I say, "What do you think of this song? Is this good?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, I love that. Don't like that lyric. Love that. You know." And it's good because I listen to Des. It's really great to have someone that you can bounce off with your work.
My life is quite ordinary. I just enjoy the normal things like every guy does: football, sport, laughs.
You know, he loves the races and the sport. And on a Saturday, I mean, that's the day when I know I've got to get out of the house and do something else, because that's his day, and he switches off and unwinds. It's got like out of bounds on the door. I can't walk in there because, what are you doing? Get out.
Spring is here to me.
He just keeps on going, and he never seems to get any older.
He refused to get older.
He doesn't have birthdays anymore. No, we're not allowed, although we still go, have presents or whatever. You know, he'll always be 40. We don't get to see as much of him as we'd like. And of course he's sort of spread out a lot.
We were used to that as kids, not seeing too much of him. Samantha once saw him on the TV and said, "Oh look, there's that man who sometimes lives with us."
I was very, very young.
Cheers. Cheers.
Here's till next month.
Cheers. Cheers. Sometimes I find it difficult to believe that I've been on television every year for 39 years. First show was back in 1963.
Des O'Connor Show.
Good evening at home. And now before we go any... Of course I'm delighted with my success with the talk show, but I see myself first and foremost as an entertainer. That's what I do best, and tonight I'm playing to an audience of 2,000 live in Southend. When I get on the stage, it's the best 2 hours of my day. It's the best 2 hours of my day without any... No matter what's happened, getting out there with a crowd to get that instant feedback, you know. Even the walk from the wings to that microphone will give me an essence of the atmosphere. It's an instinct knowing what will be entertaining, what will be effective. Once you hear that laughter, that's it. That's like a drug. That is, you want to hear more laughs. You can't wait. Lock the doors! I'm going to sing. So I want to go back to 1958. Must have been my dad, couldn't have been me. 1958, and some of the great songs that Buddy left us. Special time of my life. Just you know why you and I. It was her, my mum, who said, you should sing. So it was my mum, you can blame my mum. But no, she was right over the years, you know, it's proved right that with all the albums and things, but Mum was the singer, Dad was the comic. Yet neither of them was show business. They were of, you know, working class backgrounds.
When we're talking about the 30s in London, it's, you know, it's another era, it's gone forever, isn't it? And people were really, really poor, but everyone was poor in the street. I mean, you didn't have neighbours next door that were rich, everyone was poor. So you just accepted it, and, you know, it was as poor as you can imagine for those days.
Well, on my birth certificate it says father, occupation, scavenger. And scavenger in those days meant road sweeper, dustman, road sweeper. Road sweeper, actually. Dustman is with, you had a horse and cart or a car or a van. So my father, in those days, he did wherever there was an honest penny to be earned, he did that job, you know. Right from the very beginning, I remember my father cracking jokes and making me laugh. Mum was a good singer. Mum was a good singer. I just have a memory of a lot of love, a lot of affection, a lot of warmth. Got to the point where even as an adult, I wondered if I would ever cope if I lost one of them. It became a bit of not a phobia, but it was something. It was the only cloud in my sky was Mum might go one day, or Dad. So no, I don't remember that much about the early part, but then I have a habit of pulling a curtain across things I don't really want to remember. I probably don't want to remember because not only was there all that poverty, but I couldn't actually walk until I was 7. Anything the kid could get, I got, more than once. But also being handicapped with rickets, which is a deficiency of vitamins in the bones and causes, if you're not careful, unless you wear calipers, you know, you're going to have problems with your legs. When you're in a house where there is no extra money other than money to pay the bare essentials, food and whatever, you don't get to go on outings and cinemas and things like that. So you are kind of a prisoner. So I mean, Mum used to borrow the next door's pram to take me out. My father was always saying to my mother, he'd walk. I saw him standing up once, you know, without those calipers on his legs. He'd undone them. I'd undone them, and I was standing up on a chair, and my mother was called into the room. My dad said, look, he's standing up. If you can stand up, you can walk. And so he kept on for a long time, 6 months. And he knew what a rare luxury in those days would be any kind of fruit, but a banana, wow, that's a gold nugget, a banana. And I loved the taste of bananas. And he used to give me a little sip of Guinness. He'd have one glass of Guinness and he'd give me a bit of banana. But he would make me come and get that banana. So I'd fall over, and then sometimes he would lay down, and we'd both lay down laughing. He'd pretend that he fell over so I didn't feel bad about falling over. And we would giggle. And over a period of time, with the mixture of the little bits of banana and little occasional piece of chocolate, gold dust, and a drink of the Guinness, bit by bit, I was doing an extra pace, till one night I did walk the length of that room And I do remember, I didn't quite understand why they were all jumping up and down. To me, it was just one more step. To them, it was a reward. It was a result that the kid was walking. I suppose that's a significant moment in my life, but I have chosen to dwell on it. It's only because you're asking me. Immediately after that, within months, I got run over. I was in the hospital for months on end. And they put me in what they called in those days an iron lung. And as a kid, being stuck in that for months on end, which I was, to help the lungs get back to strength again, that was horrible because there wasn't any television. I couldn't read anyway. You know, so I couldn't read books. And you could look up at a mirror and sort of see coloured books and things like that. So that wasn't a good time. I'd been out again about less than 6 months when they were building a wing on the hospital and they had wooden stanchions holding up part of the scaffolding and things. And myself and three of the kids, my mates, Denny and the others, were digging away in the sand and throwing sand at each other and doing the things that naughty little boys do. And suddenly one of the things went and the whole lot came down and buried one of the other boys and myself. And as it came down, a lorry came along and the wheel went over that and pushed us in a bit further. And we were back in the hospital again for about another 4 weeks with sand in my eyes and up my nose and skin and being in the sand. I was back in again. I should have had a season ticket for that place. So all those early years, I don't have a lot of memory of it.
Fly me to the moon, let me swing among the stars.
When the war broke out, my family and I were still living in London's East End.
My first memory of the Blitz is running through the streets of London, hearing our first siren with my sister in tow, you know. We'd be about 9, 10-ish, can't remember exactly. The house got a direct hit and we were literally buried in there. And they got us out in about 4 hours. And then my father, well, I remember, that's a vivid memory. My father came around the corner, I remember that. My sister said, look, Dad's on a bike. Where did you get a bike from? He borrowed a bike, did my father. And he arrived. And I remember him jumping off. This I remember quite vividly. Him jumping off and the bicycle kept on going straight past us and him running to us and putting his arms around us. And my mother crying, we've lost everything. And then Dad saying, no, we got everything, I just counted. So that's a vivid memory.
When I had a cartilage removed right up here. I had a cartilage removed and Eric and Ernie came to see me. And by the way, Eric said it was a cartridge I had removed. He swore someone took a shot at me while I was singing.
Evacuation, I mean, yeah, sure, get kids out of London. But it's a lot more than that for the kid and for the parents. You've got a little gas mask with a bit of string and a wooden cardboard box. You've got your little label saying who you were, and you're with a load of other kids, and there's parents all crying. There's Dad saying, you take care of your sister. Oh, I will, Dad, don't worry. You're the man of the family now. Yeah, I will.
And my mother, bless her, she didn't really, I don't think she was able to tell us that we weren't just going for the seaside, you know. I don't think anyone explained to us that, look, you might not be coming back for a long time.
But when we got to Brighton Station, we were all suddenly out on the platform. I remember you could smell the tang of the sea air and that cold. That was kind of... So I suddenly thought, yeah, we've got to be positive about this because that's what Dad said it's got to be. And then suddenly there was people wearing armbands, grabbing my sister. Here she is, Patricia Lillian O'Connor, here she is. You know, she's a pretty little thing. Right off. I said, where are you taking us? My sister, oh, no. I've got to go with her. I said, no. We didn't ask for a boy. I'm sure they'll put you with somebody. And they just whipped her off.
So I didn't even know where he'd gone. I don't even think he went to the same school. I didn't see him. I can't remember seeing him.
That's where I did my first running in Brighton Park. couldn't believe a park that you could run round every day and get fed every day and get a banana every day. It was wonderful. And then sadly, the lady of the house got tuberculosis. So they moved me to another house, which was awful. Just awful. Just awful.
My sister and I returned to London, but the bombing became unbearable, so the whole family was evacuated to Northampton.
That's where all my memories come to life. Suddenly I was being educated, and that was great, and I loved the challenge. I must have been the only kid in the school that liked lessons. I loved lessons. I was learning. And of course there was parks, and there was sports days, and there was athletics, which I loved. I love them. I've always been passionate about sport since then. Ray! It's a snooker table, but it's a good one. Steve Davis, we were talking in a restaurant one evening, and I said I would fancy getting a snooker table. How? And he gave me an address to someone to ring, and he sorted out an introduction. And this was in a championship. I think it was the 1992 World Championship. Might be 91. And apparently they only used them once. Yes, we can. It's positive thinking. No. I was physically growing. I was mentally growing. There was a sense of competing with the other kids in the school at all levels.
We went to the local youth club together, you know, and he was quite wild. I used to disown him then, pretend he wasn't my brother, because he used to do such daft things. He's always been funny. I think he was born funny, really, and he had a funny little face.
I think a bit my dad's coming through. I knew how much I warmed to my dad every time he made me laugh, so I wanted to make people laugh. And I had some little hereditary gift from my father to see the funny side of life.
Oh, listen, I brought you another present. Sundays. Underwear for 2 people. Come on, stand up.
Where do I get in? Which one? That's it.
A turning point came for me when I was 18. I was conscripted into the RAF, and I began to take an interest in comedy, and I realised I had a knack to make people laugh.
One day I was standing on the table doing an impression of Group Captain Stewart, I think it was, and the guys were all laughing because he was very English, was the group captain. And then the guys suddenly stopped laughing, and there's this one pair of hands clapping, and that was him. And I said, very sorry, sir, just a bit of fun. He said, no, it's very funny indeed. He said, you have a talent. We have a talent contest in 2 weeks' time. You're in it. I want your name to be the first name on that list. Go and do it now. So I said, yes, sir. And so I was literally ordered into show business. It was the little push, the little breaking through the fear barrier that, well, I've got to do it. And if it's a mistake and if it's a disaster, I said, it wasn't my idea, it was his idea.
Do you remember the man you wrote to for advice?
Of course I do. It's Max Bygraves.
It is indeed. Are you with us, Max Bygraves?
Yes, I am, yes.
Gran, can you remember the letter he wrote to you?
I'll never forget it. Didn't have a stamp on
it. Do you recall the advice that you gave him at that time?
Well, it wasn't a very modest letter, you know. He said, I'm better than you, I sing better than you, and I tell jokes better than you, and I thought, well, this guy must be good.
I followed Max Bygraves' advice, and I talked my way into a job as a redcoat at Billy Butlin's holiday camps.
I was fibbing about what I could do, and I told him all sorts of credits which were not true. And I got a job. He gave me a job. If you want something to happen, you have to make it happen. I didn't think I was cheating or tripping anybody up. I was testing my own ability to convince someone that I could communicate and that I could do things. And if he'd have asked me to sing there and then, even though I would have been terrified, I would have sung there. And if he'd have asked me to tell a joke, I would have tried to tell a joke. I used to fib to my own mum and dad years later. It was my way of positive thinking. I used to say to mum and dad, I've got a Royal Variety Show. Have you? You've got a Royal Variety Show? What? When? 3 years' time? 3 years? They didn't know. You didn't book 3 years in advance. Running the bingo for me was the big communicating time, because you'd have as many as 1,000 people in a marquee, sometimes 1,500 people, maybe more. Across that 4-hour period, you'd be working for 2 hours of that,
doing jokes, clowning around, talking to people about anything. Years later, doing the talk show, that was my grounding. Yeah, Bartlin's really paid off for me. It was a great experience, and I got my first professional booking in '53 at the Palace Theatre in Newcastle upon Tyne. For the next 5 years or so, I did the rounds of variety theatres, summer season, panto and cabaret, and then I got a job I really liked. I was asked to tour with Buddy Holly.
So that's the Buddy Holly and the Crickets poster. We did the tour with Buddy. Sadly, the only tour he ever did. But, he was... that was a real privilege, because we hadn't heard of Buddy Holly, didn't know who he was. But hearing that sound, it was the first time we'd had, monitors that were throwing out. So normally a trumpet plays and that's what you hear. But this was amplifiers, and the noise, and it was fantastic, and the rhythm, He did it every night, I saw it.
In 1958, I was spotted by TV producers, but television was a very different proposition. First time I was offered a television series, which was Spot the Tune, I think I'd have backed off because it was live. I think I'd have said, I don't know if I can handle this. But there in my head was, Mum, I've got a television series. Dad, I've got a television. This is it. I can make that true. So I did it. So it was motivation. 5 years after my first appearance on television, I was given my own show.
During the next half hour, you're going to be seeing three of the really big names in show business. Bruce Forsyth, Huey Green, Benny Hill. Not actually in the show, but in the commercial. What do you want for this money?
It's wet, dancing in my wet feet, dancing in the one coat, dancing in my tails. I'm stepping out my feet to breathe an atmosphere that simply reeks with fire.
Love is like a never-ending melody. Poets have compared it to a sin.
My singing career really took off in 1967. The first single, Careless Hands, reached number 6. And then the following year I made number 1 with I Pretend. So some folks were puzzled. Here was a comedian selling millions of records. I was happy.
Doesn't seem so rich.
Hey, I know you. You're Des O'Connor off the telly, aren't you?
Yes, I am, yes.
Hey, the lads in our pub don't half like you. They switch you on every Saturday, you know.
He's a nice little...
1969 was the year. Records, albums, TV, and a record-breaking season at the London Palladium, 42 weeks. My mum came, sat in the Royal Box and got to use the Queen's loo. She never stopped talking about it.
Hello, Dan.
Very good,
It's a bit difficult to see anything in this light.
Oh, hello.
Where
was that?
He's done it on computer phone.
At the end of the 60s, I was really flying high. But the 70s, well, they were to prove even more eventful.
You say when 1, 2, 3, ha ha ha. Get in a bit. 1, 2, 3, ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha.
I always get a buzz heading towards the recording studios. Today I'm just as excited going to do only some rhythm tracks, but I'm just as excited about doing this on the 34th album as I was about the first one. In fact, I'm probably more excited because I'm doing it now.
Oh, all right. So the
I believe everybody could sing. You just know how to do it. And when I first started, I just did it. It wasn't that good. I did my impression of Dean Martin. Everybody loves somebody, and that was it. But then you learn, hang on, if I really strengthen my lungs, strengthen the breathing, have more breath control, learn the phrasing.
To me, it's still. Where do you want to go from? Do you want to go? I just want to pick up after the instrumental break. With every word of love, and to the end. I could do it when I wrote in. Our sweet refrain.
By the early 70s, I'd established myself as a top-of-the-bill entertainer in Britain, but I'd set my sights much higher.
September.
Any entertainer would dream about the path to international stardom. So how does someone in variety in England and television get to the world? NBC America liked what we were doing and booked me for the show, and suddenly I was on American television all over the world, and that in that one series opened the entire world up.
And here is Des.
It's amazing when I think about it. The Kraft musical series was seen regularly by over 100 million people, and it ran for 2 years. Of course, doing all those American shows, I got to work with some of the greatest people in the world. I mean, people that to me had only been legends, and here they were on my show, and going all around the world. It went to 44 countries in the world, and coast to coast on American television. And you know, Phil Silvers, Sergeant Bilko, sitting here doing jokes with Bilko.
Everybody ought to have a maid. Everybody ought to have a serving girl. A loyal and unswerving girl.
Mind you, a butler can be fun too.
Everybody ought to have a maid.
Ever since I've been on this planet, my dad's been famous, really. So it's, you sort of grow up with it, and horses for courses, so you've taken it in your stride.
Nobody will believe their eyes just when they think they've seen us. We'll zoom away to Venus. One moment we're in Mexico, like that we're over Idaho. Just tell me where you wanna go in my UFO.
Literally from day dot, we were always in theatres or nightclubs or cabaret.
Yeah, if
I used to fall asleep quite. Tracy was sort of used to last a little bit longer into the night. We always used to, and I'd be asleep under the floor in cabarets. That's why I can sleep so well anywhere now. I can sleep under any noise.
Anybody know any jokes?
Yes, she's getting cold.
Well, you can drink your tea if it's getting cold. What jokes do you know?
There's two biscuits walking on the road. It's dreadful.
Shush! What do you mean it's dreadful, this tea?
If you're tiny and immediately that happens, you think it's absolutely normal. So I guess it wasn't until I actually got to school, boarding school, I think, and people really took quite a different angle on me, that I realised that maybe there was something different about our family.
Yeah. Samantha, even if the tea is dreadful, you don't say so.
It's too sweet.
It's too sweet. Well, it's studio tea, you see. And the gentleman there, was it Tony?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's telling a joke. So could you please say, I'm sorry, Tony.
I'm sorry, Tony.
That's quite right.
We used to go down to the summer seasons a lot and spend the summer with him. And
yes.
So go off and have. I ended up parasailing with Jim Davis, and my dad turned up.
He crashed us in his speedboat into the harbour. Or something like that, I seem to remember.
So that was always really fun, yeah. We'd go to the TVs as well, but the summer seasons...
And it was lovely to sit there and sort of feel all this, audience were all clapping for my dad.
Applause, 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 applause,
applause. Not bad yourself? Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. Good.
I used to have them there. They've moved them. They've never had any problems with fans. You cannot. You become known, so whenever you walk into a restaurant or people, look, it's so and so and so.
That's it, in the truck. These are all very nice, fresh foods. It's lovely.
You suddenly realise that you've managed to emerge and put your head above the crowd. Not that that's important, but I guess whatever you're doing in life, you want some kind of recognition, and the recognition is literally being recognised.
Bye, see you soon.
There's the Comedy Award, and there's the Variety Club, and the Royal Television Awards, and the National TV Awards, and the Sun Awards, and all these TV awards, and quite a few, So, and never let any entertainers say, "Oh, we don't care about awards." Well, they all represent gold sales, and it's just great. Just whenever I hear the insults, I go, I got a lot of gold records. Maybe I shouldn't worry that much. But this is the one. There's a good story about that. That was in Australia. Somewhere in the journey, it got broken from Australia,
And my daughter then, she somehow got it out, like it was sent to me, it'd come loose and the glass had broken, and she put it on the record player, and out came Joan Sutherland's voice. So what they'd done, they just sprayed it with gold. It's any old album, send that off to Des. So there's me going, oh, la, la, la. It's funny. You got some salmon kebabs? Can you make me some? Yeah. That's very nice of you. I just want 4, that's all right. Okay. But then there comes a point when you go, no, it's not that. I'm just doing a job, you know, and you get used to the fact that people know you. And it's just like you know your family know you. Well, now you know a bigger family know you, if you like. I like doing the roasts, and I can cook the fish, and I can actually cook the pastry for salmon and croup. But it's easier this way. I get a chance to talk a bit, because in the kitchen you're running around, oh, is that ready? Because cooking's all about time, and you know, it's no good getting that ready if that's not ready. So it's good fun. It's a bit like doing an act, trying to get it right. Put it on the old slate, as they say. Yeah. Thank you very much. Cheerio. That's something I couldn't eat, oysters.
Success meant I could indulge my passion for horse racing. Over the years, I've owned 11 different racehorses. At one time, I had 5 in training.
Really, at the end of the day, racing is a passion, and I don't think many of us make a big profit out of racing, but the enjoyment and the thrill that it gives and puts into your life is well worth whatever it costs. It's worth something. I've been a bit of a gambler throughout my life. There was a time when it really got silly, and it got to the point where I was endangering my security, my financial security. You think you want a mint, don't you? See, if I thought I had a lot of money in the bank, and I didn't, because of the income tax at that time was 83%. I was gambling 50% of my earnings away over a period of a year and a half, and suddenly my accountant said, "Look, I don't want to be nosy, but you know what you're doing." So I did the only sensible thing at that time, you know. I said, I've got to stop. But it's very exciting to win, but it's also, if it becomes addictive and obsessive, it's a dangerous game.
I'm often asked about Morecambe and Wise. Were we friends? Well, we were, but it didn't stop them doing all those jokes. And it was a private joke that became a national campaign. It never stopped.
That is the best record Des has ever made. You mean there's nothing on it at all? Did you hear? Where did you get it from? Boots. Boots. Do you need a prescription? I got it at the poison counter. At the poison counter. At the poison. How do you do?
When I made records, and they started, I mean, they would zoom in. The first 3, you all sold 1 million each, you know. Eric was on the phone every morning. I'm eating my breakfast, and they're playing that song, and it's upsetting the pigeons, and all this stuff. And then we would send little letters to each other. And then one day he did it on the show, and then that got a laugh. So they did it the next week, and the next week, and for the next 14 years, 15 years, and then everybody was joining in.
Remember romance, the way we would dance and only
If people are making fun of you on national TV, what are you going to do? You can't say, I don't like you to do that. Stop it. I used to send Eric and Ernie jokes, insults about me. Let's at least be part of it. When I hear the joke, you know, I know it's a good joke. Eric, I've become a limited company. So you should. You're a limited entertainer. That got a big laugh. And I'd given him that joke. I gave him that joke. Des is doing a one-man show. Let's hope 2 turn up next time. And I'll send it to him.
I've kept a list of the insults against Des O'Connor. Well, I've forgotten half of those. Oh, yeah. There's a whole series there. I shall read them one at a time.
In fact, there was one time over Christmas, I got 13 insults in 8 days on national television. I mean, terrible things, you know. And I kept hoping and telling myself, well, the public know that this is, I'm not that bad. God, they wouldn't be buying the records, they wouldn't be watching the TV. And it wasn't hurting me so much. It was something I had to deal with and did deal with, but it was for the kids. The kids were getting sweets thrown at them at school. Your dad's rubbish and all that. 'Cause kids can be a bit hard on each other.
The girls had all been told that, Des O'Connor's daughter was arriving, and as the school wanted me there, I was put in a dorm with girls a lot older than me. So they'd decided exactly what they were going to do to me by the time I got there. So I found out what that actually entailed when I got there, and it was quite, it went on for quite a while. Yeah, but it gave me a bit of a toughened edge, so...
Made you feisty.
Yes.
Eric, I've just heard some good news. Ernie, what good news? Eric, Des O'Connor's got a sore throat.
I used to tell them he was a postman, so I escaped it.
Yeah, but until you got to Tring, and then they knew what you were doing.
I told them he was a postman there as well.
Did you?
It was a double-edged sword, I think, because it helped his career. It kept him, as long as there's that old saying, it's better to be looked over than overlooked. And I think it kept his name in everybody's minds. But I think it might have been quite tough for my dad at times. We all have our sort of sensitive side.
H-A-R-D. Hard. And I'm really enjoying this.
The early part of my career and some of my early television, certainly some of my early singing, was not very good. These days I sing really good. I really do, and I can say they're going to go and get a record. Someone, I'm going to listen to it. And you don't have to buy it; just listen to it in the shop, and I can sing it. And I'm in control, and I know what I'm doing. And I still think there's better to come from me.
Well, a little bit of Funny Valentine. Oh yeah. Oh, it's just a beautiful arrangement.
He thinks young. He is young at heart.
Valentine.
He is doing the work of a young 20-year-old. His constant energy.
You make me smile with my heart.
I like the whole mood of that guitar.
Off marching around, doing his power walking, writing this, recording that, thinking about this, his constant.
What's the secret? It's all in the head. And the walking. No, age is just a number on a passport. It's got nothing to do with it. I think if you look after yourself, eat sensibly, do a bit of exercise, but most of all, relax, laugh. You're only here once, As cliche as that sounds, it is a fact, so no good sitting miserable and just get out. Fresh air on a lovely day like this, and even when it's raining, pouring down, I'll still come out. If it's snow and ice, I'll go in the gym, but I don't really like the walking machines.
Dad's 40 years old. That's it. He's never got any older, and I think he will get older being dragged screaming and kicking. I think he'll always be 40.
...1977 proved a turning point in my TV career. I started my own talk show. I'd seen a gap in the market and I thought I could fill it.
Parky's a journalist. He does great journalistic interviews. But I can get laughed at. Wherever I go, I sit down with people and people will laugh and smile with me. I don't know why, it's been there. I thought if I can put a program on the air, the core of which is humour, and it's not interviews, it's conversations. It's fluffy fun. It's a bit like a Hello OK magazine on television. I openly admit that.
I said that. I said there the other night with my wife. Like that. No, it's like that, it was. And she was there like that. No, she's like that. And I said, I'm feeling homesick. She said, but you are them. I know, I'm sick of it.
I wasn't very good when I first started because I didn't listen too good, and that's what you've got to do. You've got to listen. You mustn't worry about the next question. You've got to listen. And it took off from there.
What's to do with this set?
Well, it's just, we thought we'd do it for you.
It looks like a little chef. Look at it.
I've never told you this, but this is my second wife, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah, my first wife died. She fell down a wishing well, and I didn't know they worked either. You know.
That gives me a real kick when I look back and think of all the young comics that started on the show. You know, most of the young comics today, and some of the alternative comedians who thought that it was wrong for their street cred to do a Des show, and then Frank Skinner came on and people like that, and suddenly we were, you know, Ben Elton and the sharper, if you like, sharper end of humour were joining in. But this is his first television on what they call mainstream, is that?
Proper television.
Proper television, yeah.
This is it, I've arrived, really. First, I'm feeling a bit tired tonight. I was woken up at 6:30 this morning by the postman, so I'm not going to sleep with him again.
I remember once driving from here to the studio and suddenly I had this little searing bolt of fear go through my tummy, which I get on every show day once for about 10 seconds, and I go, get out!
That's a great track.
Thank
and that's
you.
a great track.
It is indeed,
Yeah,
fresh off the presses.
Yeah, that's the English number. That's the pucker
Yes,
thing.
I'm a secret reserve, you see.
Are you?
Yes, exactly.
Now, if they should win,
Yes.
if England should win, you planning anything to celebrate that?
Well, we'll see if they win first.
One last thing. If they win, would you come back and sing a duet with me?
If they win, I'll sleep with you.
You're getting all sorts of signs when it's live, you know, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, and you have to really think, and it's a challenge, and there's a buzz. So on this particular night, Stan Boardman, who'd been on the show 3 or 4 times before, and he's a very good comic. Stan is excellent, and, you know, he's very funny, he's very mumsy, if you like, he's very for the crowd, and they love him. So I felt quite comfortable with Stan coming on. And he walked on, he started talking about his airplanes called Fokker-Wulfs.
And in the mirror, I look behind me. The fucker is behind me. Eamon Andrews said, hang on, Charlie Polanski, you've got to explain to the viewers that, you know, during the war, the German fighter plane was a German Fokker-Wulf. He said, that is correct, Eamon, but these fuckers were Messerschmitt.
You know, I was a bit confused by it. I said, who's next? He said, Oliver Reed. Oh, true.
And I'm told that you do have...
Am I helping you?
No, but it doesn't matter. I'm here to find out little things about you that we do not know. And there's one thing that I was told I can't believe. You have a tattoo in a very unusual place.
Yes, on my cock.
But the next day, the headlines, Dirty Des. Me, I hadn't said piddle in 20 years, and suddenly it's Dirty Des.
Ladies and gentlemen, Oliver Reed, we wish him every success.
I really got hauled over the coals for that.
I should have shot down the Fokkers when they arrived. I should never have mentioned Oliver Reed's tattoo. That should have been taboo. And I learned a big lesson. Don't do it.
But the job does have its perks.
Hello,
Can't imagine you having cold hands.
I've always got warm hearts, Edith.
Oh, yeah,
What
what
can I
it
say?
is. I love that little Welsh accent came in then. Well,
I've never lost it. Don't intend to either.
If there's a secret, it's some little gift which is maybe not talent. I'm a lot better singers than me, a lot funnier people than me. But the gift is being able to get people interested in whatever you're doing up there. You know, it doesn't have to be the greatest as long as it's communicating.
Tonight we're having a family get-together at home.
Anything you read in the papers about me, it's the papers must be desperate for a story. I do try to stay out. I don't like giving interviews because you can do a wonderful interview and then suddenly you read a headline that destroys anything that you may like in the interview. What is that? I never said that. Right.
I'm going to have to cut this.
So I'm a bit wary, and I don't like to give press interviews, other than, not to be awkward or to be different or to be, I don't know, Greta Garbo-ish. I just feel certain parts of my life are mine, you know.
I seem to have managed to preserve my privacy throughout my career, And that's not easy when you have 4 daughters from 3 previous marriages.
There you go. Yeah. Do you have any rock salt, Daddy? Oh, there.
Yeah, we do actually.
He's our dad, and you make that as complicated as you want to.
There aren't many sort of normal 2.4 families in show business, are there, though?
I think tolerance is a big thing. Tolerance, to be tolerant and to accept and, you know, to understand as quickly as you can that your mum and dad aren't going to be together. You know, you're going to have a different type of life and to take the best of it.
Christina, you're eating crisps again?
I call myself a second time around dad because Christina is only just 14. And by that time I'd established myself. Now I had a solid base. I made sure from Christina's mum, when are the important days that she wants dad at school?
Who's nicked my serving cloth?
He's always had a very, very focused inner strength and belief in himself. And I don't think any of his detractors along the way have ever really dented his belief in himself. I think he always believed that he would be where he would be.
Shall I put the salad on the table, Dad?
Downstairs.
Yeah.
When everybody's got something up here.
Some people just have what I call the sprinkly dust, and they just have that ability for people to be around them. People are attracted to him.
Whose floor?
I think you could imagine sort of sat in a pub with him, having a pint and a pack of crisps and having a laugh.
Also, it's lasting the course, isn't it? When
Staying
you've been
around.
around as long as he has, you gain respect for
I don't think
simply
he-
being
yes.
around
I don't
that
think
long,
I don't think
guess.
he's got stale at all.
Nice to see you guys again, all of you again.
Cheers. Cheers. I think the most important thing about my father is his ability to reinvent himself. You know, his career's changed paths so many times.
Lovely.
He's gone from being the stand-up comedian to being the pop star, and then he was the light entertainment man. And then he reinvented himself as a chat show host.
He's not afraid of change, and he just embraces it. You know, when one thing ends, another one begins with him.
Ladies and gentlemen, Des O'Connor.
Well, this year's been quite a year for me. It began with an audience with, which I love doing. And more recently, I was invited to attend the National TV Awards. It took my breath away.
Ladies and gentlemen, our final award of the evening is the Special Recognition Award. It honors those who have become preeminent in their field. So, ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome on stage now, please, Mr. Des O'Connor.
Thank you.
And while we're at it, why don't we have all your other daughters come up on stage as well?
Well, that's a harem of them
Please
down
join us. What a family!
And I just want to thank you all for supporting me over the years, everything that I've done. I've enjoyed every minute, and hear this, it ain't over yet. Thank you very much. This is very rewarding.
I'd love to do a movie, I really would. I'd love to. I'm a frustrated writer. I'm writing a novel, I'm writing books, I've been working on a musical for some time. So many times in my life I say, well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to do it. And that, if nothing else, is going to motivate you and galvanise you into giving the best of yourself.
I wouldn't travel anywhere without the boys. Bought this band for my daughter in Marbella, that's right, for Christina again, I think. And when we're singing, they go to town, boy. Yeah, you got a 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get. Great fun. And we put it on when we got the disco going, you know, and everybody doesn't care. Da 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 da.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
She finished the last show in 64,000. She has 2 lifelines remaining. She is 4 questions away from $1 million, and he's wearing his lucky green shirt. It's looking good for Emma Carter, but does she have the answers that could make her £1 million richer? Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Saturday, 8:10.